All right, everybody. In the category of Award of Excellence for Attraction is Symbolica, the Palace of Fantasy from Efteling in the Netherlands. Symbolica is an absolute triumph of art, technology, and storytelling. The art, craftsmanship, and detail of every set piece, prop, and animatronic is stunning. Undoubtedly one of the finest dark rides we've seen this decade, and by shunning screens, drops, and blockbuster franchises, it feels like an almost revolutionary call to arms for a classic dark ride. Welcome to our colleagues from Efteling, two members of the Board of Directors, the Chief Imagineering Officer, Olaf Vugts, and Coen Bertens, the Chief Operating Officer. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big honor to stand here. I feel a little humble, looking at all the presentations and the things were said. The Efteling, I'll tell you a little bit about the story of Efteling. Have anybody been in Efteling before? Oh, great.
Oh, that's more than we expected.
That's more. In Holland, I always ask, has anybody seen Efteling? And all the hands are raising. And when one hand is not raising, we give free tickets.
But now it's a little bit too much for us.
It's a little bit too much here. 98% of the Dutch visited Efteling, and with an average of 7.8 times in their lives. It's a little bit of a cultural thing, and it started in 1952. We were a foundation. We were a foundation beginning to create a place for the unemployed to work there and to bring joy into the lives of the children and to the families. And ladies and gentlemen, they opened the 31st of May in 1952. And we had 10 fairy tales from Grimm and from Andersen and one from ourselves. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, the only Sleeping Beauty castle there is in the world. So if you ever hear any other stories, this is it. The Sleeping Beauty castle. So we had 10 fairy tales, and people came all the way from Utrecht, it's about 50 kilometers, to see that, to astonish, because leisure was that, at that time, began to grow in 1952. And it developed, the park developed, and in the next slide you see the very famous Anton Pieck. I hope you recognize him. Anton Pieck is a very famous artist in Holland, in Belgium, in Europe, and he is a designer, and he designed those typical romantical Anton Pieck style. And you can recognize it in the castle, but also in all the fairy tales. So Anton Pieck was one of the founders of Efteling, which still is a foundation. And this, the Flying Fakir, it's a story invented by ourselves, created by ourselves, and this Fakir is flying over. And what does he do? He flies over, he gets down from the stairs, and take out his flute, and beginning to make beautiful music, and then the red tubes are coming up, and he's going to fly the other way around, and the yellow ones are coming up. And when people come back in the Efteling to remember the time they were as a child, they stand there and said, "Oh my God, I thought it was bigger." Yes. Do you think that too, Jan? Yes, yes, yes. And do you see the cable there? Yes, well, I didn't saw that as a child. No, and that's what we are selling. We are not selling tickets. We are selling memories. And to sell memories, you need people to come back to the Efteling. And when they stand there, they said, "Wow." And they write letters to us, "Could you make it a projection, flying over?" But that's not the case. Look at the child there, sitting there in his buggy for 30 minutes, just watching, flying over, going downstairs, and the tubes are coming up. Tubes, very famous in Holland, as you know. The Flying Fakir. So it grew, it grew, it grew. And then there was a time when there were less children in the families, and we said, well, we have to make sure that the Efteling is still there after 30, 40 years. So we discovered something where you get in 40 seconds 10 years older, and it's called the Python. It's called a roller coaster. This one is from Vekoma, and Anton Pieck, the designer, was Mordicus against. He didn't want that kind of iron thing in his park. So that's why it is where it is. It's nearly practically outside the park. Practically outside the park. But then more than 200,000 people came, youngsters came, to have this beautiful roller coaster experience. So we about 1 million visitors did we have in Efteling then. So from fairy tale to experience. This is the first dark ride we managed in 1966, and this is the first Indian water lily. Indian water lily is a story about from Queen Fabiola from Belgium, and we asked to build a lovely walk-through dark ride. So a dark walk-through with lovely music, and nowadays it's a nice marketing idea invented by the business development department. At that time, it was a good idea of Anton Pieck to visit the Queen Fabiola and to make such a kind of fairy tale. Dark rides, storytelling, and story hosting. In 1986, we made our first dark ride, inspired by, of course, our friends from Walt Disney. We made Fata Morgana, a tour to a forbidden city with boats. You go by, and at that time, ladies and gentlemen, we did it all ourselves. We didn't have Garner Holt at that time. We wanted to do ourselves. So we invented and engineered everything ourselves in 1986. And we even got over the 2 million visitors, which is enormously for a foundation. After that, there came a lovely one. It's the Dream Flight. Tom van der Ven, at that time, the creative director. Probably somebody heard of Tom van der Ven. He passed away 2 years ago. And he invented Dream Flight. Dream Flight, where you follow your dreams and you go into the dreams of your of imagination. It's a lovely ride, and then Dream Flight was the last really dark ride we had then at that time.
Then we go a little bit further in history of Efteling. That's the Flying Dutchman. We opened in 2007, and it's a combination, really nice combination about a dark ride, a roller coaster, and a splash. And it's unique in storytelling because it's the Dutch story of the Flying Dutchman. We're going a little bit further to help you about history, and then it's 2012. We introduced a show from WET, but what you see it's really different is the colored lights and the fire we use at the end of the day, so the people go away and have all the Efteling music in their ears and don't think about if they come back, but only when they come back. A few years later, 2015, we opened for the youngsters a special dark ride, a special thrill ride, the Team B&M coaster, the Baron, where people really think about why I'm going to do this. And also, it's really great for people. Yes, it's good to do. And it's also for the people who don't dare to go in, they can stand around and really look at this coaster. Big step of Efteling history was the opening year-round in 2010. So beside Disney, we are the only park in Europe who open 365 days a year. We had to do it because we had a big increase of number of visitors. Olaf already said, at that time, Fata Morgana 2 million, but from 2008 to 2009, we went from 3.2 to 4 million guests. Really great for a financial director. I know every day he was cheering, but for the operational, it was a disaster. So I can say 120 days extra opening for great capacity for the operation was really great. If you look at another big step for Efteling, that was the transformation from a theme park to a real resort. The first step, 1992, a hotel. Also, that was the year that Disney came in Europe. And also for us, we learned a lot about Disney, about making a resort. The second step was in 2009, we opened villas and apartments in the Bosrijk. And the last step, that was last year, that was Loonseland. There we opened wooden houses and a hotel, all to attract foreign visitors, but also to increase the length of stay for our visitors. Then we go over to Symbolica, so I hope we did a good promotion for Efteling so that we can here, I think over 3 years, can say that everyone already visited Efteling and we only have to give 2 free tickets.
It's very important within Efteling. We started with fairy tales from Grimm, from Andersen, to get that storytelling from 1952. And storytelling was a little bit away when we set up the Python, the roller coaster, the rapid rides. We thought, hey, there's no storytelling behind it. But I think you all know that there's really storytelling behind a roller coaster. Because when we ask in Holland, and I think it's the same here, what's the height you have to be to go on the roller coaster? Everybody in Holland knows, they don't know what bread is costing and so on, but they know 1.20 meters. 1.20 meters. And there's a story behind it, because now, not at this point, they are sleeping, but tomorrow in Holland, every time a child comes, there's a miracle. There's a miracle happening, because it's the first time he or she went to Efteling. It's the first time that he or she got on a roller coaster, because are you high enough? Well, they on the wall at home, they mark that. You know that? You recognize that? Oh, 1.20 meters. You have to eat vegetables, and you have to. Oh yes, of course, Daddy. And no French fries. No French fries. And you're growing. It's 1.10 meters. 1.10 meters. It had been 1.20 meters. So eat more vegetables, and then take another shoes. Perhaps the heels are higher. No, 1.20 meters. And then it's there. 1.20 meters. It's there. He or she can go with her father or mother into a Python, into a roller coaster. And they're getting there. They're getting price offers, of course, for tickets. And they get them, because we're Dutch. And then they go into the park, and then in their hand with his mother or father, say, there it is. It's going very fast there, Father. Yes, but now we are here, eh? Now we're going to do it, eh? Yes, of course. And they're waiting. And when they're waiting, we always try to get excitement for that. So we wait for about 10, 15 minutes. That's good for the experience. And then it's there. We are going to go for the first time into a roller coaster. And our employees, we have about 3,000 employees now, they're the best. They're the ambassadors. They're the gold, not only the attractions, they're the gold of the Efteling. And he's going to recognize it, and father is going there, yes, and daughter's coming, and he's sitting down, and father is checking the safety procedures, and forgets his own one, but okay. That's what employees are doing. And then, you're going for the first time? Yes. And then she's coming back. The adrenaline gets out of her ears, and how was it? It means great. And it's typical Dutch. And then the employee comes and said to the daughter, "You liked it?" "Yes." "Do you want to go another time?" "Oh, great." And father thinks, "Oh my God." But then, when she's blessed in 30 years, and she comes back with her own daughter and own father, then she wants to have the same experience for her father or for her daughter. So that's the miracle what we are in the industry are doing. And I think, well, we think, and you also think, it's amazing, it's a great job we can do, can't we? And that's why storytelling is everywhere. And storytelling is here, storytelling is everywhere, but also with Symbolica. We want to tell something which is great. We want to tell something that you have to believe in the fantasy. We bring back fantasy to the people. Because busy, working, children, oh yeah, and family time, spare time, quality time. We have to do that. This, Henny Knut, is the spiritual father, he passed away, unfortunately, of Pardoes. And Pardoes is the one who brings the old Efteling, the fairy tales, and the new Efteling together. And he decided to make those characters. And he, together with Sander de Bruin is our head of the design here. He's here, he's over here. He's a beautiful, he's over there. Stand up, Sander. He's the designer of Efteling Symbolica. Please give him a hand. Thank you, Sander. He started in Efteling as a student. I did myself too. I was 13 years old, young. I started in Efteling and I got my career here. And he, together with Henny Knut, decided to bring Symbolica alive. And like this kind of, this was in, Sander, it was in? 2005, we started to think about a new dream and now a new dark ride. Cherish your fantasy, the source of all magic. That's the message we're going to give. And this is a whole story, a book about Symbolica.
If you look at...
Yes, sorry.
I'm sorry, but for the time, Olaf, otherwise we don't...
Yeah. We have 40 minutes left.
Yeah, we're just looking at it. Because at the end we have the promotional video of 1 minute, we have to do that one.
Yeah.
It's Paul's Kitchen. It was the first step of the implementation of the storyline of Padus. So it was a restaurant, a special themed restaurant. And if you look inside here, you can see it. It's really great. And what the parents really love, that is every 50 minutes, there's an oven who goes crazy and all the children go and love that oven. And the parents, they can eat, relax, and eat their freshly baked pancakes. So what we always do is first we make the 10 commandments. So what is really needed for the ride. So the first one is, if you make a dark ride, we think it has to be all family ride. We are for the extended families, so that's why the first.
Second of all, it has to be Symbolican. The Symbolica is the theme we want to express. The Symbolica, the story behind it, we want to use that.
Then if you look at the third one, very important for us, proven technology. We're not so good in making roller coaster by ourselves. So that's why we always go to the big manufacturers and try to go cooperate with them and making excellent rides. The Baron is a really good example of it.
Proven technology is very important. And then the capacity, of course. Capacity in our parks, 1,400 guests an hour. It's very important.
Ride time. Yes, we want to give them a show. 360 seconds. Important, because sometimes they have to wait for 2 hours for a dark ride, and then you want to give them a really good full experience.
This one and the ninth one, it's extended. 360 seconds was a little bit too short, and 35 million was a little bit too slow. But nevertheless, I'm from Imagineering, not from finance.
I know. Then you have the interactive components. Children, they really like to have interactive components. That's why we introduced this in this ride.
All in the heart, in the location. We looked at Disney with the castle, and we also want to have the location right in the middle of Efteling with the 65 hectares of total park. We wanted to have it in the heart of Efteling.
Yeah. We don't like budget, but we got a budget of 35 million euros. I know for Disney of Universal, I think it's not such a big budget for us. It was the biggest budget we got in history of Efteling, so 35 million euros.
Yeah, and as we start building it, the communication department said, well, it's the biggest, most expensive thing Efteling has ever made. So I think, oh my God. Expectations are very high. And then we started believing in it. Not in the first time, because in 2005, 2006, we thought, hey, this is the idea we have. But at that time, it costed 50 million euros. And we were in the middle of the crisis in Europe. So we thought, let's not do it then, let's do it over here. In 2015 we started. And this is the first sketch of Symbolica, the Palace of Fantasy. It's from Sander, who you just saw. This is the first drawing. And then we start. We start about budget, we start about lean planning, we start about how do we do that. Lean planning is very important for us to get the schedule and to get opening at the 1st of July. And we had different scenes. And as you know, a budget and scenes. And where should we put the budget in what scene? No, where should we budget at what time in the ride when storytelling is going to be there? So not about how many budget, no. How do we feel about storytelling? The 12 steps into storytelling, how can we cope with it? These are the most important people there are. They are the ones who really believed in this dream. more than 250 guys and girls who said, well, we day and night, ladies and gentlemen, together with our partners, with Garner Holt, with ETF, together with them, we believed in it, and actually went 24 hours a day to make it ready. This is the first scene. You come in and you go into a reception room because you're going on audience from the king. And you have to be very good. The hair, well, our hairs are always good.
Yes.
But we're just a little bit like the Efteling brothers. And the reception, there you come, and there Punctuel is one of the guards there. He said, "Welcome to the castle, the Palace of Fantasy." Sorry, not the castle. Sorry, Sander. The Palace of Fantasy, and welcome there. And there something happens. And then Pardoes comes, and he takes you along with the magic, and he says, "Well, we are not going to have the audience from the king. No, we're going to do something special. We're going to get down into the underneath the palace and meet the rooms, the chambers of fantasy, where it all happens." So you see here the real photo there, and the stairs are actually opening like that with a lot of noise, and you go into the heart of the palace. Okay. And then you're going to go in a trackless system. We have the trackless system from ETF. Koen is explaining about it. And there you're going to meet all the characters and the fantasy tour you're going to bring. Here's Almar, and this is the drawings of Sander. And next time you see it really happening. Also with the next scene, it's the Botanicum. It's a winter garden where you go into, and where you see that it changes into an encounter, you call it, yes, an encounter of a Fabian fish. And this one is being made by P&P Projects, cooperation with us. And this is a small one, as you see, and we wanted to bring a real big one into that scene. This is how a fish is being born. We don't like to see to get you to see these pictures because it's the same as getting into the dressing room of Santa Claus. And that's not so good, but we are among professionals, so and there's a big fish, and a big fish is entering a fable fish is entering that scene, as you see it here in the photo. It's really coming down and really moving, and let you oh, what is that? It's a fantasy of like this. Okay. In the next scene, we have the special scene. The 10. We have 12, 13 scenes. This is the 10th scene about the King's Hall, where were you? We were in the chambers of fantasy, and now we're coming to see the king. And this is the festivity of the King's Hall. Is the last one. Bill, who is here from Garner Holt. Bill, we had a lot of pleasure over there. Because I was sitting in together with my colleagues in the ETF cars, and Bill from Garner Holt was scheduling that. And at what time I didn't know whether it was the king or it was Bill who was sitting there. And you think, well, Bill, well, stand up, Bill, because you get ahead of us. Okay, this is Bill. It's like a king. Thank you. Because of great partners as Garner Holt and PM Projects and ETF, we could do this. And in 1986, as I told you, Fata Morgana, we did it all ourselves. You can't do it yourself anymore. In fact, if you need a real experience, you do it together, a cooperation within that. And this is the King Halls, really, as you can see. And the next one. Yeah, it's also every detail is there in the park. 1,001 details we are very keen on. If the floor or is it the walls. It's a 360 degrees attraction, and that's very important. Not just look that way. No, it's 360 degrees, and that's very unique. I think also within Efteling, you have 360 degrees. When she's standing over there, Patricia, Koen, it means we have 5 minutes. So.
Okay.
Okay.
We go a little bit faster. If we look at the automatic guided vehicle, It was a really good cooperation with EDF, and it's a Dutch firm also, so 100 kilometers away. We made this trackless system, and the special design of Sander really helped us to make it really unique. Also, what I already told about the interactive control panels, they were designed on the vehicle itself. So the children, they can really use this. And we learned about it, because when we look at the seniors, the 70 years and older, they think it's glass, we can touch it. So that's also, we have to learn how we can get them to the interactive panel. What's important also is music. So the music in Efteling is special designed, but also for this ride. And it's recorded by a live orchestra. We already talked about, this is the Imagineering, and also by the animatronics. I think Bill already stand up, so here you can see the masks were used. And also what's important, that our own costume department, they created the costumes of the animatronics. Olaf?
And we wanted to bring all those movements, all those things, all together in just one computer. As you see here, you recognize this all over the place. I think they use the same. And let's do that movement, let's do that. And Bill got some ideas about changing this and the ATF thing, and all we were so proud. 1.5 weeks before opening, and the PLC did bloop. Just like that. I said, "What's up?" Because we were in the carriages going around in the fantasy. What's going on? Oh, I don't, PLC. Bloop. And 1 week, 1 week before opening. Well, let's use another PLC. Of course, another PLC. Aye, it's going well. That's okay. After an hour, bloop. I said, "Oh my God, we have 1 week. We have all the marketing department, communication, celebration, because it's the 65th anniversary of Efteling. But then hold it together, making a lot of fun. And we got another PLC from our German friends, and it worked. And at that time, you really feel great. And of course, this is it. This is the, you saw the drawing from Sander, and this is what it looked like. And we opened it, and yes, and it's not Koen or me, but this last line is for, especially for our financial director. He said, "You have to tell that, otherwise your trip is not going on." So, so now we are paid. He has an increase of 10.8%, and everybody's proud of that, of course, because for the first time in history, Efteling raised above 5 million visitors, but that's not important. He can hear this. What's important is that every time a child, a family comes in, they have this best time of their life, and not how many. If I have one child a day, it's okay. And bring that one child, we bring together with all our employees, we bring that special moment. That's what we stand for. Not of numbers, of finance. Of course, we have to succeed. But if we can bring that into the lives of children, the life of family, I think we will succeed. And yes, we are still a foundation, so every money we earn, we do go back into the park, into the World of Efteling, or we do lovely things with that, like we have Give Kids the World in the Efteling. We saw it here, and we brought it also to the Netherlands. I think that's, we think that's very important to do.
Als u terugkijkt op 30 jaar Efteling, zeg maar, waar bent u het meest trots op? Is dat dan toch Pardoes?
Zeker. Maar eigenlijk de hele wereld die daar aan verbonden is en die nog zo onbekend is. Die gaat wel bekend worden, daar ben ik vast van overtuigd. Die wereld heet Symbolica.
Wat? Bij doorklikken. Ja, dat is stopstep. Zullen we het doen? Ja, klik maar door. Doorklikken, doorklikken.
There
The
is a
last
place
commercial.
where countless wonders happen every single second. This place is a world of wonders waiting to be discovered by you. Efteling, World of Wonders.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.